Hey everyone, Shelly here. Today I'm going to share with you a gentle yoga class. I will be using the wall for this class. However, if you don't have any wall space at home, not to worry, you can still do this class. In addition, I'll be using 2 blocks and the center myofascial ball. However, if you don't have this ball, not to worry, you can use a block in its place or nothing at all. So before we get started, make your way to that wall space. You'll want to have a block or your center ball at the back of the mat with you. And then if you do have the 2 blocks at the top of the mat. And when you're ready, we'll meet on our backs, legs up the wall. So I find the easiest way to get my legs up the wall is to come to the wall kind of at my side, and then I'm just going to lean over and swing the legs up the wall. And then you can kind of shimmy best you can, coming as close to the baseboard as possible. However, any strain into the low back or the backs of the hamstrings, you're just going to scoot yourself away from the wall, or again, just place your feet on the floor. So once you find that comfortable space, just take a moment or two here to start to settle into the body. You might flex and point the toes, and then just come to let those legs rest. Just letting the wall do all the work of holding the legs up. Start to feel that sense of ease and relaxation in the hips. And just tuning into the back of the rib cage, just releasing that space into the support of the ground. Feeling that drop of the shoulders. If the arms are alongside you, maybe even rolling the palms open, just really encouraging the neck and the shoulders to find that sense of softness. Relaxing the jaw. If they're not already, softening and closing the eyes. And then just starting to settle into your breathing. Much of our day we spend breathing right into the chest and not really using our full lung capacity. And so as you start to become more aware of your breathing, just beginning to take some of those deeper, longer breaths. And then helping to really settle into that deeper breath. Go ahead, take a deep inhale in through the nose. Start that breath low in the belly. Fill all the way to the top till you feel sensation in the back of the throat. And then open your mouth, gently release. Good. And then on your next inhale, trying to inhale to a count of 4. Hold that breath at the top, count of 7. When you're ready, gently exhaling, count of 8. Beginning that cycle again, inhaling, count of 4. Holding at the top, count of 7. And gently exhaling, count of 8. Beginning to take a few rounds on your own. And knowing if those counts are a little too long for you, you can adjust them. But doing your best to make your exhales longer than the inhales. A few rounds of breath. your next cycle of breath, just letting that hold go. So inhaling to a count of 4, slowly exhaling, count of 8. And as you really start to tune into the sensation of that deeper breath, maybe letting those counts go and just feeling that ebb and flow of that fuller inhale, and that slightly longer exhale. Good. And keeping with that deeper breath, go ahead, grab your center ball or your block. You're going to place it right between the thighs, just above the knees. And then give that ball a gentle squeeze, starting to engage the inner thigh. Bending the knees, plant the soles of the feet on the wall. Arms rest alongside you, palms face down. And on an inhale, go ahead, press into the feet, lifting the hips off the mat, continuing to squeeze that ball. Good, and then slowly exhaling. Again, keeping with that longer exhale, coming all the way down. Good, inhale, pressing the hips up, engaging the inner thigh, squeezing the ball. Good, and exhale, slowly lowering down. Good. You want to make this a little more dynamic. You can bring the arms into the motion, inhaling, lifting the hips, taking the arms up and over towards the front of the mat, and then exhaling, bringing everything back down to that starting place. Good, few cycles of breath here, following your rhythm, really working to take your time here. Good, let's do 2 more. And the next time those hips come to rest on the mat, go ahead, stay there. Take the ball, set it aside for now. And you're gonna hug your right knee into your chest. Let that left leg extend long. And just start to take some circles with that right leg, that right knee. Maybe you circle the ankle. Just kind of starting to feel into the joint space. Good. Hug that knee in tight, interlace the hands behind the thigh, and keeping the thigh right there on the belly, on the chest. As you inhale, send your right heel towards the sky. Good, and just kind of pause here. Just feel that stretch into the hamstring. You might feel it kind of go around that hip space. Good. Take a deep breath in, point through the toes. As you exhale, bend your knee, flex your foot, kind of leading with the heel here. Good. Inhale, straighten the leg back to the top. Point the toes at the top. And then exhale, bend the knee, flexing the foot. Good. Inhale, straighten the leg, point the toes at the top. And then exhale, bend. So a couple rounds on your own. Again, maybe even closing the eyes. Just following that rhythm of your breath. Kind of thinking of that idea of working the breath into the body. Creating some space here. Next time you come to the top, go ahead, pause there. You can keep the hands where they are, or walk them up the leg, kind of pulling that leg gently back in space for a little deeper stretch. And just a few breaths here. Not forcing anything. Just finding a place where you feel a little bit of challenge here, but not so much to overwhelm your breathing. Good. From here, cross that ankle over the left thigh, so just above the knee, that meaty part of the thigh, and kind of check in here. Maybe press the foot back and forth, or the knee back and forth rather, flexing the foot. And then if you feel enough stretch in that outer right hip, this is where you stay. If you need a little more, you're going to bend your left knee, bringing the sole of the foot down the wall. Good. And again, just enough to feel a sense of stretch sensation in the outer hip. And just returning to that deeper breath, kind of soaking in the shape of the pose. Few rounds of breath. Good. On an inhale, send that left leg up the wall. Right leg follows. Go ahead, shake the legs out. And just take a moment here to kind of notice the changes from side to side. Maybe that right leg feels a little softer, a little longer. Good. And we'll go ahead and even it out. Hug the left knee into the chest. And just kind of starting with those circles. The knee, the ankle. Go ahead, hug that left knee in nice and tight. Interlace the hands behind the left thigh. Keep that leg plugged into the chest, and then inhale the left heel to the sky. So that knee will likely stay a little bent, that's normal. And if you can, energetically press up through that heel. You might even notice some shaking. Good. Just another breath here. And as you inhale, go ahead, point through the toes. As you exhale, bend your knee, flex your foot, again, leading with the heel. Good. Inhale, straighten the leg towards the sky, point the toes. Exhale, bend and flex. A few rounds on your own. Maybe even closing those eyes. Really letting your breath guide the movement. Good. Next time you come to the top, go ahead, hold here. If you need that little extra, you're going to take your hands up the leg, gently pulling back in space, doing your best to keep the shoulders soft. Imagine sending that breath all the way from the toes to the hip, hip to the toes. Good. Go ahead, cross the ankle over that right thigh just above the knee. Take a breath or two, maybe press the knee in and out, flex the foot, just getting the kinks out of the joints. And if you need that little extra, bending the right knee, bringing the sole of the foot down the wall. Good. And then just settling into the breath, settling into the stretch. A few rounds of breath. Good. On an inhale, send the right leg up the sky, left leg follows, give them a shake. Maybe feeling a little more even now. And from here, hug the knees into the chest and just kind of tip over to whichever side feels natural. And we'll go ahead and meet in a child's pose. And so just kind of checking in with the hips here. The hips aren't quite open yet. You can come into this kind of more straight leg child pose, maybe resting the belly on the thighs, taking the arms behind you. Or you can take those knees wide, sit back into the heels, walk the arms forward, and just resting your head down on the mat or maybe a block, spreading the fingers, just feeling that connection, and just taking a few deeper breaths here. Maybe breathing so deep that you feel that space in the low back. Good. Go ahead and walk the hands over to the right side of the mat, maybe even off the mat. Possibly the left hand rests on top of the right hand. And then just get real heavy through that left hip. And as you breathe in, just imagine filling that entire left side body with air. As you breathe out, tuning into that gentle contraction. Few cycles of breath. Good. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. Again, maybe that right palm comes to rest on top of the left. And just breathing from that right hip to the right shoulder, shoulder to hip. Walk the hands back through center. On an inhale, come on up to a table pose, hands and knees. Good. And from this table pose, starting by just turning the fingers towards the edges of the mat. So the wrist creases face each other. And take a deep breath in. As you exhale, sit your right hip back towards your right heel. Swing it around to the left. Inhale, come forward, maybe shoulders go past the wrists. And then circling back around. So just taking a couple of these circles. Maybe you soften that gaze. Again, just letting your breath guide the movement. And then go ahead, change direction. Good. Come on back through that neutral table. If you can, flip the hands so the fingers face in the direction of the knees. And so for some of us, that might mean they're off to the side a little, and that's okay. Just starting to feel sensation into the wrist and the forearms. Tuck the toes and then gently sit back into the hips. And so you might feel stretch right away here. Again, working to not force anything. Just feeling challenged but in a space that you can continue to breathe. Okay, let's take about 3 more here. Inhale, come on back through center, flip those palms around. Exhale, press into the upper back, find that cat shape. Good. And inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Good. Come on back to that neutral table. And from here, extend the right toes back behind you. So rooting into the ball of that back foot. Good. And you're just gonna turn onto the left knee here, root down through that right foot, and sweep the right arm up and over. And so coming into this supported side plank, kind of pressing into the outer edge of that right foot, just feeling the length along the right side body here. Good. On an inhale, bring the right fingertips behind the right ear. Exhale, you're going to bring your right elbow in the direction of your left elbow. So coming into this little crunch here. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, twist and crunch. Good. Inhale, open. One more. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, open. Extend that right arm towards the front of the mat. And then on your next exhale, crunch your right knee to your right elbow. Inhale, lengthen it out. Exhale, crunch it in. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Plant the right palm. And then on a breath in, just lift that right heel from the sky. And really engaging through the leg here. Good. Step the right foot outside the hands. And this might be where your blocks come in handy. So you might place your blocks underneath your palms here. Good. And just kind of scooch that left knee back a smidge, again, enough to feel stretch in the groin and the hip flexor. You might turn your right toes towards the corner of the mat, just giving yourself a little more space. Good, and just take a breath here. Kind of press into the blocks or the mat. And then on your next inhale, staying on the flat of that left foot, you're just gonna lift your knee. So really working to press through the palms. Just this very energetic space. Good, and kind of notice what's happening with the elbow creases. See if you can press down through the mound of the thumb to kind of bring those elbow creases to face each other. Good, let's take one more big deep breath here. Good, and then go ahead, drop that back knee and then just fold into the stretch wherever that might be for you. Maybe onto forearms. Maybe you stay right where you were. Go ahead and tuck your chin, let your head be heavy. And just kind of sink in. Inhale, come up to the hands. Exhale, step your right foot back, find your child's pose. And again, it's always nice to compare those sides. Just kind of noticing maybe that right hip a little closer to the right heel. Good. And we'll go ahead and even it out. So inhale, find your table pose. This time you're going to extend your left toes back. Root down through the ball of the foot. And turn onto the right side now. And inhale, sweep the left arm up and over. And so that left foot is planted, pressing into the outer edge of the foot. Good. Take a deep breath in. Bring those left fingertips behind the left ear. As you exhale, rotate your left elbow towards your right elbow. Inhale, open back up. Exhale, rotate and crunch. Inhale, open. Exhale, crunch. Good, inhale, open, sweep that left arm towards the front of the mat, and then as you exhale, crunch your elbow towards your knee. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch. Inhale, exhale. Good, inhale, lengthen, plant the left palm, inhale to lift the left heel, and then step that left foot outside the hands, kind of scooch back through the right knee. Again, just creating stretch in the front of the hip here, the groin. You might turn those left toes to the corners of the mat, to the left corner of the mat. Good, and then press down firm through the palms. Again, attention to the mound of the thumb. And then as you inhale, lift off that right knee. So stretching into the front of the ankle here. You might feel a little more sensation in the front of the hip. And really kind of engaging the upper body here. Good, 2 more breaths. Go ahead, drop that knee down and just find your place of stretch, wherever that might be. Tucking your chin, letting your head be heavy. Few rounds of breath here. Inhale, press up onto the hands, step that left foot back, find your child's pose. And hopefully everything a little more even now. And we're gonna work into that space just a little bit more. So go ahead, come on up to your table pose and extend your left leg behind you. So give yourself enough space from that wall to get that length. Good, and then from here, just step your left foot in between your hands. Good, and just kind of again, find that nice long stance. Plant the right hand, lift the right knee. Find your dragonfly twist, left fingertips reach to the sky. And you can even rest that right palm on a block. That extra height kind of helps you to find more length in the spine. Good. Root down firm through that left footprint. Good. Now placing your left forearm onto your left thigh, pivot and plant your right heel, and then inhale, lift your right arm, find your side angle pose. So just kind of climbing a ladder here. If you want that added bit of stretch, you can take your right arm over your right ear. And just breathing into that long line of energy from heel to fingertips. Kind of softening into sensation here. And best you can, keeping all the depth in the lunge. Inhale, rise up to your warrior 2. So arms into a T. And can definitely feel that left leg now. And so just seeing if you can breathe a little softness into the body. Just one more. Good. Straighten that left leg, right hand grabs left wrist, sky archer. Side bend towards the back of the mat. Again, filling that entire left side body with air as you breathe in. And feeling that gentle release as you breathe out. Good. On an exhale, find your star pose. Arms come to a T. On an inhale, step your left foot to meet your right foot, so coming towards the wall. Good. And from here, we're just going to extend the right arm behind us so the palm is kind of touching onto the wall. And then inhale, lift your right knee. Good. And so you can be closer to the wall or a little farther away. Good. But go ahead, take your left hand to your right knee, and if available, take your gaze over your right shoulder. So coming into this variation of dancing Shiva. And then possibly pressing the knee into the hand into the knee. And a few breaths here. Some of you will play with that variation of straightening out the leg, maybe binding the foot. Good. Wherever you land, a couple more breaths. Good. Go ahead, set that right foot down. Keep the arm as it is, and you're just going to step a little closer to the wall. So coming into this shoulder stretch. And if you're not feeling too much here, you can take your toes away from the wall, kind of leaning into the wall just to create some stretch in that arm. Go ahead, close your eyes, take a few breaths here. Good, and those toes are turning out. Come back through neutral. Take an inhale to step that left leg wide, coming into your star pose. Exhale, fold forward. Good. And just walking the hands back to the top of the mat. You're going to step back to your child's pose. Good, and just take a breath here. And we're going to share all of that on the other side now. So go ahead, inhale, find your table pose. Extend the right leg back behind this time. Step that foot in between the hands. Plant the left hand onto the mat or a block. Tuck your toes and find your dragonfly twist. Good. Energy into the right heel. And imagine lifting that left kneecap, so engaging the muscles on the front of the thigh. And then just breathing across the chest, fingertips to fingertips. Good. Go ahead, plant the right forearm on the right thigh, pivot and plant the back heel, and then inhale, rise up to your side angle pose. And if you want that little added stretch, you can take the fingertips over the head. Good. Really feeling into the footprint, both feet. And just kind of noticing that feeling of heat rising in the body. You might feel that increased sensation in that left thigh. Breathe into it. And doing your best to keep all the depth in the lunge. Come on up to your warrior two, arms in a T. And just that slight adjustment, just noticing how much easier it is to breathe. You might even roll the palms open. And then again, where can you soften? A couple more here. And straighten that front leg. Left hand grabs right wrist. Take a side bend towards the back of the mat, sky archer. And if the breath feels cut off, looking up, you can turn your gaze down. come through to your star pose. Inhale, step your right foot to meet your left foot. And then taking that left arm behind you now. You might come a little closer to the wall if that feels good. And then just lifting the left knee into that majorette. Good, taking the right hand to the left knee, maybe taking a little twist here. And again, pressing the knee into the hand into the knee. You might feel yourself standing a little taller. And if you want to play with that variation, possibly straightening the leg out, we're here for a couple more breaths. Good. Go ahead, set that left foot down. Bring yourself closer to the wall, coming into that shoulder stretch. And if you need that little extra, turning the toes away from the wall. Closing the eyes. And just settling into your breathing. Good, and step just a little away from the wall. Go ahead, inhale, lift the arms to the sky. Exhale, palms to heart center. So a little different transition now. You're gonna just turn your feet towards the front of the mat, so back is facing the wall. Go ahead, inhale, lift the arms and lengthen. Exhale, fold. And then go ahead and grab your ball or a block. And you're gonna take that ball right in between the knees again. So in between the thighs, just above the knees. Kind of like we did at the beginning here. Good. And then as you inhale, bend your knees, lift your arms, find your chair pose. And we're gonna kind of let the wall give us a little tiny bit of support here. So resting your bum right there on the wall, just resting. So trying your best not to lean into it. Good. Your bum is just touching there. And then squeeze the inner thighs into that ball. Press through the heels. Just feel that full engagement. You can even feel the core come on board here. Good. And because we've got the wall with us, we're going to stay here for just a little bit of time. So when that sensation really starts to creep in, see if you can come back to your breath. And if you can take a deep breath, just continue on to that next. Good. And if you're still with me here, see if you can bend those knees a little more. Take those arms straight out in front, resting your belly on your thighs here. Press through your feet. Press the thighs into that ball. Take 3 deep breaths. Just kind of welcome all that heat. Good. On an exhale, fold forward. Go ahead, set that ball or that block aside. Take your feet about hip distance apart. And again, just let your bum rest right there on the wall. And nice generous bend to the knees, resting the belly on the thighs. Tuck your chin. Let the crown of the head drop. Maybe those arms drop alongside you. You can always grab opposite elbows, opposite hands. Ooh, and just let that breath return to that slower, steadier pace here. We're going to hold this one just for a little longer here. Inversions are wonderful for just really kind of getting into that relaxation response, that part of the nervous system that creates calm in the body. See if you can close your eyes. And again, just soften into your breathing. Good. Inhale. Go ahead, lift halfway. You're gonna walk your hands to the top of the mat, drop your knees, and we'll all meet on our bellies. Good. And so as you come onto your belly here, taking the arms into a goalpost shape, and you can turn your gaze one way or the other. If it feels good to you, you can rest on your forehead, but just kind of release into the mat here for a couple breaths. Kind of tune into that feedback from the mat, belly pressing into the mat with the inhale. Gently pulling away with the exhale. Good. And from here, go ahead, bring that head back through neutral. You might rest right here on your forehead. And on an inhale, you're just going to lift your goalpost. Good. So engaging into the small of the back. And then inhale, kind of lift the chest. So not working too hard here. That gaze is kind of straight down off the tip of the nose. Keeping the crown of the head in line with the spine here. One more breath. Good. Exhale, release it all down. Turn your chin the other way. Take a breath or two. Good. And then again, coming back through that neutral. On an inhale, lift your goalpost. Good. So that chest just kind of gently rising away. An option to stay here. If available, on an inhale, stretch your arms overhead. So those feet are nice and rooted. Exhale, come back to your goalpost. Inhale, lengthen the arms out. Good. Exhale, bend the elbows. Good. One more. Inhale, lengthen. Good. Exhale, bend and release down. Good. Take a couple breaths. Reset. Good. And last round here. On a breath in. Once more, lift the chest, lift your goalpost. Good. And then if available, lift the feet. Good. So kind of pressing the pelvis into the mat here. That gaze is nice and long. And option to stay here. If available, inhale, straighten those arms out. We're here for 3 breaths. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Good, and just release everything down. Go ahead, bring those arms out to a T. And you're just gonna slide your right knee in the direction of your right elbow. Coming into this half frog pose. Good. If it's okay on the neck, maybe you turn the gaze to the left. And closing the eyes, just take a moment to notice. Usually in the first few rounds of breath with this one, we tend to grip down through the palms. So see if you can start to consciously let go of any tension, any gripping. Good. And again, just that idea of soaking in the shape of the pose. A little bit of time here. On an inhale, slide that right leg back to meet the left, and we'll just change sides. So left knee in the direction of that left elbow. It's okay on the neck, the gaze goes right. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Just releasing into the stretch. Good. Inhale, slide the left leg back to meet the right. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Inhale, lift off into your baby cobra. One full breath here. Exhale, release down and press yourself up and back. We're all gonna meet in a nice tall seat. So coming into that nice tall seat. Good. And you can be cross-legged. Again, whatever you need to feel that the back is supported. So you might even rest the back against the wall if that helps. And we're gonna go just a little deeper into the neck and the low back here. So we're gonna start by taking our left hand behind our back so the palm faces out. And for all of us, that's different. It might land in the small of the back, maybe closer to the shoulder blades. Go ahead, take your right hand out to the right, and we're just gonna start by tipping the right ear towards the right shoulder. And again, let those eyes close and kind of let the breath be slow. Doing your best to make that exhale a little longer than the inhale. And taking it a little deeper now, so doing your best to keep your left sit bone, your left hip nice and rooted. You're just gonna kind of drip yourself over to the right. So you might come onto your right forearm, maybe onto a block, and then just really let that right ear be heavy towards the right shoulder. And you might feel this all along that left low back, side body. Good. Again, see if you can soften into your breathing. Good. Inhale, walk yourself tall. Good. Take those arms out to a T. As you exhale, bring them through center, palms face each other. You're gonna wrap that left elbow underneath the right elbow, coming into eagle arms. If that's not accessible, you can just bring those arms to touch, palms to touch. Good. But then take a deep breath in to just press the forearms away from you. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths right into that space between the shoulder blades. Good. Go ahead. Inhale, lift the arms. Good. And exhale, bring them down, and we'll just change sides. So this time the right hand comes behind the back. And again, each side a lot different than the other usually. Palm faces out. Take that left hand out to the left and just start by kind of dropping the left ear towards the left shoulder, sitting up nice and tall here. A few breaths. And then just start to drip all the way over onto that left side. Again, maybe onto the forearm. You can always rest it on a block as well Doing your best to keep rooted through the right sit bone. And just let that head be heavy. If that starts to be a little too much for the neck, you can always turn your gaze down. And a few breaths here. Good. Inhale, kind of walk yourself tall. Take those arms out to a T. Bring them through center. This time right elbow under left elbow. And take a breath in to press the forearms away. Good. 3 deep breaths. Good. Unwind all of that. Inhale, circle the arms. And then exhale, just fold over those legs. Good. And tuck your chin. Let your head be heavy. This is always a nice place to place a block under your forehead. If that feels good, just kind of helps with that sensation of releasing the neck and the shoulders. Good. Inhale, slowly walk your hands back to your shins there, coming on up. And we're all gonna meet on our backs. And so if you have that center ball, you're gonna take that with you. If not, you can use a block here as well. But go ahead, make your way onto your back. Once you get there, hug the knees into the chest. Just take a few rocks from side to side here. And plant the soles of the feet on the mat. You're gonna take your ball or your block and you're gonna set it right here under the sacrum. So coming into this kind of supported bridge here. And once you've got a stable spot, bring those arms alongside you, possibly rolling the palms open. And your choice with the legs, you can continue to keep the knees bent here. You might straighten them out if that feels good to you. If you want a little more stretch into the inner thigh, you might bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall wide. Good. And again, take a deep breath in through the nose. Open your mouth, release. And just let everything go here. So that idea of just kind of melting into the pressure of the ball. And you're welcome to stay here a little bit longer. Whatever feels good. Otherwise, for now, just taking yourself off the ball, setting it aside, hugging the knees into the chest. Reach around, grab the outsides of the feet, maybe the shins, finding that happy baby. And making it active here these first few breaths. So pressing the feet into the hands, pulling the hands into the feet, trying to make the spine as long as possible. Good, 2 more breaths. And then just let it be easy. Maybe you take those rocks from side to side. Maybe you bend one knee, then the other. Good, and go ahead, plant the soles of the feet on the mat. Take the feet at least hip distance apart, maybe even a little wider. And just go ahead and let that right knee fall in. Good. Bring it out, let the left knee fall in. And just windshield wiper the knees back and forth just for a few rounds here. And once you've evened it out, coming into that resting posture, Shavasana, stretching the heels to the corners of the mat, finding a restful place for the arms. Take a slow, deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, release. And take rest. Enjoy your rest. And you are welcome to stay here as long as you need, maybe even up to that full 5 minutes. And if you're ready, go ahead, wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers. And take a deep breath in, just stretch through the arms and the legs. And exhale, release. And hugging the knees into the chest. And just falling over to your favorite side, that fetal posture. Just pausing there for a moment. Notice how you feel. Pressing yourself up. Nice tall seat. And one last big deep breath together. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, palms to heart center. Thanks so much to each of you for sharing your time, your practice. Namaste.